Let's freaking go! I got a fun show lined up for you. Editor's note right here off the jump. Unfortunately, we could not get Jay Hill on tonight. We had a scheduling conflict. Those things happen. He's obviously in a very high demand guest, knowing his success in the world of football. And it happened, but of course, he would love to be back on the channel. So apologies there, but still, the star of PHL is you guys. It always has been, it always will be. And that is my favorite thing. In fact, I watched a little bit of their show today, and I've been, peeking in on different LSU shows because look, right now in the world of LSU football content and just in general, there is a pretty wide range of LSU news stories that's out there right now. The funny thing about it is there is not one like super hot LSU news story at this moment. So I actually love that. Yes, you don't have as many viewers as if there's a coaching change or somebody gets fired or a commit happens or whatever. But this opens up the range of possibilities of what we could chat about tonight. And you guys are going to control that conversation. Anything LSU football related, I will happily talk about it. I started looking at a few different bits of data that coincide with some of the better LSU teams. And ironically, those same data points don't match up really well for this upcoming LSU football season, whether it be the amount of draft picks returning, whether it be so many different stories. And that's a funny joke. I never thought in my life that my first ever super chat would be a Derek Carr related question, but here we are. My good buddy Derek Richard. He and I actually I keep Derek's card near me at all times. I'm not going to give this one away because this was a gift, and you guys know this guy is my absolute second favorite player. I got to go Jack Bech number one, but Keyshawn Butte. This card was given to me by Derek. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your dynasty fantasy football knowledge. And yeah, I think Derek Carr's a really good quarterback. So we'll talk about Derek in just a second. Thank you so much. Ron G is back. Chris, Jared, Chase, Jesse, Skipper. So here's the thing about slow mode. Okay. So let me talk about this right now. So a lot of you are good messengers, right? You don't say anything profane. You don't get on a tangent about something that is not college football related or sports related. But the slow mode is on to prevent the porn bots, right? So you notice when the porn bots come in, it's not just one message, it's 1,000 one after another. And you also see subscribers only mode. In order for the porn bots to comment, they have to subscribe to the channel. Now, the porn bots have been really lethal lately. They have really been after us. I don't know. It could just be that I'm handsome, but obviously I'm a very taken man. But, the bottom line is that's why the slow mode is on. So if you do send a comment, you can only send one once every 30 seconds. I could lower that. And that's why we had to start, a little bit later. I wanted to make sure I had the slow mode on because, look, the porn bots are fine as far as like just a quick joke or two. But this is a family-friendly audience. And, of course, I do get demonetized when too many of them show up on the screen because it's explicit. So that's why slow mode is on there. So even if for some reason they do subscribe, they can't hit you with 1,000 different links. So that's the thing, Jared. If I want my porn bots to be high quality, I want my porn bots to be Brazzers level. I don't want this amateur level porn bot commenter. I want good long-term subscriber porn bots because that's perfectly fine. Yeah, shout out to the birthday to the kids. Ranji, to each their own. Well, you Pierce, I really do think Blake sabotages me. LA mom, good to see you. But Derek, thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate you. So that is what slow mode is, Trent. Good to see you too, Trent. Good to see Rob G is in the hizzy, baby. So yes, once again, before we continue, no Jay Hill tonight. We will reschedule. I highly doubt it won't take too long to get him back on. And look, you know how these things go, right? Like we use the word friend a lot in this business. I can legitimately say Jay Hill's a friend of mine now, which is, kind of cool. I talked to him about a wide range of stuff. And what I consider a friend is someone that you talk to outside your line of work. So more often than not, he and I are talking about European soccer or poker or just life in general. So next time he's on, I think it's going to be even better than the first time because, of course, this weekend he hooked us up with this autographed jersey to make our studio even better. I know I had the fancy camera on, so it's a little bit out of focus, but he actually inscribed it and put my name on it. It's pretty cool stuff. So Big Al, there you go. Make sure you hit the like button. That obviously goes a long way for the algorithm. Someone asked what's on my hat. It is indeed Liverpool Football Club. So the breaking news that's happened in the past hour is actually a recruiting story. The Carr kid, a 2024 five-star quarterback, committed to Notre Dame. And he is the grandson of Lloyd Carr, who, of course, was a really good coach at Michigan. So, he doesn't go to Michigan. He lives in Michigan. He plays in Michigan. He goes to Notre Dame. So, obviously, that might deter Dante Moore from picking Notre Dame himself, the five-star 2023 quarterback who we have spoken to tonight, or we've spoken about a lot on this channel. Now, let me show you this really quickly, okay? And I know a lot of you have seen this photograph, but I want to ask you this question. Do you think when Dante Moore met Joe Burrow, that's all he was there for? Do you truly believe that was the main reason why Dante Moore went to the LSU spring game instead of the other spring games? No, they went there to discuss what it would be like if he were to commit to LSU. Remember this, Dante Moore has leverage, okay? He can go wherever he wants to go. He is that good of a quarterback. Texas A&M doesn't have a quarterback committed. He's going to visit there. He could easily go there. There is a lot of really good schools out there that still don't have a quarterback committed. The issue here is when he came to LSU, I'm sure they discussed a wide range of topics such as playing time, what it's going to be like, potential name, image, and likeness opportunities. There was more than just this photo with Joe Burrow. So, the recruiting visit was really good, and all his recruiting visits have been good. And I know you say that all the time. Well, recruiting visits are recruiting visits. Every recruit says they like every campus. And that's true. But the fact that Dante Moore, it is a trip to come from Michigan all the way down to Baton Rouge. A trip. So the fact that he's made this visit a lot, the fact that Brian Kelly himself is from the Midwest, and now that this kid is committed to Notre Dame, could he go to Michigan? Absolutely. Could he still go to Notre Dame? He did an interview with 247, and he said, look, just because 2024 five-star kid commits to Notre Dame doesn't mean that I won't. The issue, though, and this is obviously the biggest thing, is that no matter where you go, there's going to be competition in each and every quarterback room. So, whichever way you slice it, and I see these arguments all the time made in comment sections. So-and-so's not going to go to so-and-so school because so-and-so quarterback went to that school. I just don't believe that. The only time I think that is the case is if another quarterback from your class also commits to that school. That's a little bit different. But still, I feel pretty good about Dante Moore. And Rob, thank you for the super chat. Good to see you. What's up, Aaron? Man, Rob, thank you so much. You need to pick the next topic, Rob. Please let me know whatever you want to talk about. I've already said this from the jump. This is going to be the most wide open live stream we've done in quite some time. So this is very interesting. The title of this video isn't Dante Moore. I wanted to share that because of the breaking news story. I saw a very interesting chart, and I'm not going to bring the chart. Well, I might a little bit later. Depends. I saw a chart earlier from K Ford Rankings, a very interesting Twitter account, and it showed that LSU objectively has the toughest schedule when it comes to becoming bowl eligible next year. According to his data, LSU's road to 6 wins is more difficult than any other road to 6 wins. Now, what he does is he does something very interesting. We'll get to it in just a second. Let's shout out Ron G with the super chat. I want to see some $9.99 matches. Let's go. Carter, shout out my son RG3, committed to LSU yesterday. 5-star academics, runs a 4.2 GPA. I like that. LSU Honors College starts LSU Summer Scholars Program in 2 weeks. Major cyber security engineering. I love that. I'm trying to think of some famous LSU football players that were engineering grads. Okay, I'm going to give you 2. All right. Eric Reed, I believe, was engineering grad. And, Eric Reed's one of the smartest players I've ever spoken to. He's truly incredible. I think he was an engineering grad. But what's very interesting, Ron, there was a backup offensive lineman who walked on, but eventually was was given a scholarship, and his name was Michael Smith. All right. I don't know why so many people are named Michael Smith. It's still, his name was Michael Smith, and he was a backup, never really played, but I believe he was the first ever LSU player to graduate with a certain type of engineering. I met his family before the Texas A&M game. Very interesting people. And shout out to Michael Smith. If for some reason you're watching this, I think he's probably making a 6 or 7 figure salary right now. And I'm sure, Ron, your son is going to do the same. This is, I get this question a lot, Ron. What do I need to do to make it in media? I get it a lot, right? How do you start a YouTube channel? How do you do radio and all that, whatever? I always say don't major in media, right? I'm happy I majored in journalism. I felt like it did help me do some of the things I was able to do. It helped me look at things objectively and whatnot. But still, a lot of the best and top sports commentators you see did not go to school for journalism. Some of them did, like the Stephen A. Smiths, but, the Bomani Jones, I think it was an economics major. Clay Travis was a lawyer. Whichever spectrum, whatever. That's smart. Do a major that you can for sure get a 6-figure salary with. And shout out to you, Ron. It's really good stuff. And thank you for the super chat. Yeah, maybe RG3 can create a program to get rid of the porn bots. I love it. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate it. Rob, excuse me. I love, for some reason, our channel Rob G. I always shout out Rob G. I know you're still watching. Robs and Rons are always very generous. King Robert, Robert G, Rob G, my guy. I love that Rob G's photo. He's going to comment here in a second. I saw him a minute ago. Him and the wifey. I love those photos. I love seeing the smiles. And Ron, I like the Bitmoji here. Shout out to Jared. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I also appreciate your friendship. I wasn't too thrilled that you didn't invite me to the shish kebab party that you guys just had. But yeah, as far as going back to the initial topic, thank you guys for the super chats. Let's see if we could keep those $10 super chats just rolling on in, baby. Let's go. Look, I say this all the time about like the stats, right? I don't know what all goes into these stats. I don't. But apparently K Ford has a very good track record and a lot of respect in the college football industry. And his polls show that LSU, an average top 25 team, would have the lowest probability of reaching 6 wins. Now, that probability was still 94%. So, in other words, what his study showed is an average top 25 team would have the toughest time getting to 6 wins. Still, when you look at the other marks, such as undefeated, 10-win season, he ran the data for all of it, and they all showed that LSU had a top 10 most difficult schedule. Now, there are other SEC West schools in there, obviously Arkansas and Auburn, but every year those two schools in particular are always going to have difficult schedules. Um, Mainly Auburn because they have to play Georgia every year, and no one else in the West has to. Uh, but what makes this schedule really difficult for LSU is the quarterbacks on it. And that is going to be the big thing. You see in the title of the video here, not only Brian Kelly, but also the Jayden Daniels passing. So what's funny, Jayden Daniels was someone I wanted to talk about with Jay Hill tonight. It was someone I wanted to talk about just in general tonight. His passing was really bad last year. Um, and a lot of it, has to do with some of the stuff that was happening off the field. They were chaotic. His wide receivers weren't that great. And honestly, his passes over 20 yards were actually really good. His deep ball accuracy was fine. But I go back to the intermediate stuff. It was funny. Everything that I've said on this channel, Clark at SEC StatCat said pretty much the same thing. And you guys know I'm a big Jayden believer. The intermediate passing game is going to have to get cleaned up if LSU is going to be a 9-10 win team, right? You look at a lot of the better LSU teams, a lot of them had at the very least decent intermediate passing games, right? So yeah, I think for me, um, so let me share with you what Clark at SEC StatCat does. He looks at college quarterbacking different. So what he does when he actually looks at metrics is he takes out play action passes, he takes out RPOs, and he takes out the screen game. And what he's looking at is what do you do from the pocket and what do you do within the framework of the play? And if you are able to do that, you're going to win a lot of football games if you have a quarterback who can destroy you from the pocket. Now, Jayden, of course, is probably the most potent runner of all the SEC quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson's probably there as well, but Jayden's probably the best runner. Him or Richardson, you can go either way. And KJ Jefferson, obviously, as well. The difference, though, is KJ Jefferson and Arkansas does a lot of the screens, RPO stuff, and all that. Still, KJ Jefferson was a really good quarterback last year. His passing was actually really, really good. And so many people just look at him as a dual threat, doohickey kind of guy. Well, he had 6 games of 75 or better QBR. That's really hard to do. That is really, really hard to do. And, I know he had Traylon Burks that helped out big time. But for me, I watched that video from Clark, and it was very similar stuff that I've seen going back and rewatching a good bit of Jayden Daniels games. There were so many throws that he just flat out missed, and I don't know exactly why that happened. But for me, I do think that can get cleaned up with better coaching. I wasn't a big fan of Zach Hill at Arizona State. I didn't like what Herm Edwards was doing overall with that program. So maybe some of the regression had a lot to do with that. Jayden was also going through a lot in his life as well. So you factor all of that in as well. Still, that intermediate passing game is so key. It's so key, the consistency from down to down, because you have to trust your intermediate passing game, like the gimme throws, the slants. You have to be able to make those throws from the pocket because if you don't, your offense is going to lack that rhythm. Bring Drew Brees to coach him up. I'm down. But the thing is, with Jayden's mobility, you can win a lot of games just with RPO stuff. You could beat a lot of teams just with that. LSU can beat Florida State without the intermediate passing game. So we'll see. Well, Drew is out at NBC Sports. I'm totally down with that. Let's go to Trent's question here. Kelvin, I was about to say, Kelvin Sampson. Really? I wouldn't mind Kelvin Sampson being the LSU basketball coach. I do believe in McMahon. But Kelvin Sampson's a top 10 coach in the country. But still, obviously, you're talking about Shelton Sampson. I think they do. I really do. I just think it makes too much sense. Now, of course, if I were Sampson, there is no way I'm committing anytime soon as a 5-star wide receiver, right? Now, for me personally, I would want him to commit to LSU tomorrow, me personally. But with name, image, and likeness, and you're a 5-star wide receiver, why would you lose your leverage, right? There, every recruiting class in the country is going to make room for that kid, right? So, I, I hope he commits tomorrow. If I were him, I would tell him commit tomorrow, be the cornerstone of this class. We desperately need you. But as you can see, he's going to take other visits. So he's the number one player in this class. I think by a pretty wide margin in the state of Louisiana. I think he's better than Arch. I think he's better than Holstein, Lance Hurd, Derek Williams. And I think he's a really special wide receiver. And I think he will play in the NFL. So, yeah. And you look historically, LSU's 5-star receivers, they rarely bust. It's a really, really high hit rate. I know 5-star receivers in general do hit at a high level. But, yeah, I mean, he's going to be really good no matter where he goes. He's special, and, he's priority number one. I've had some feelers out there, and they say that they've really put a full court press. But this is how it is, right? A lot of kids are going to wait and see their options out and see what they can get. I was good to see Trent, and hopefully I answered your question. Okay, Trent. Everyone on here knows a family. Yeah. Here's my thing about this. If David Cutcliffe was the offensive coordinator at LSU, Arch Manning would be at LSU. So I don't know if they just hate LSU so much that they're just not going to send a kid there. But, if you go to Tennessee, you go to Ole Miss. I don't know. Let's see here. Getting a lot of Dante Moore questions. We touched on it at the beginning. We do have a lot of new people coming in. I don't think it matters too much. It obviously helps LSU out some, right? Because there's a 5-star 2024 guy, and you're never going to play year one anyway. So yeah, I mean, if you're a 5-star quarterback, you think you're going to beat anyone out. The only time a commitment really matters at quarterback is if there was another quarterback in your class committed to that school. That would be the only thing that would deter a quarterback from committing somewhere. Now, we can get into the hypotheticals. Is Eli Holstein not going to LSU because of Walker Howard? We can get into, that discussion. I don't know. But no matter where you go, there's going to be competition. That's the scary thing about being a quarterback in the SEC. The best quarterback doesn't always play. It is a myth. It is a total myth. And it is the scariest thing about it. You never know if your best quarterback is actually playing. You don't. And the amount of luck you have to even be a starter at any school is ridiculous. And just thinking over the past decade, how many times the quarterback who transferred out turned out to be the better quarterback than the quarterback than that school already had, just for that school's quarterback that they already had turned out to be really good himself. You just don't know. You have to get a lot of luck. You got to win the job, and that could be a very subjective process in and of itself. It's a lot of luck. It's a lot of luck. Now, you're able to make your own luck a little bit more with the transfer portal, but yeah, I mean, you never know. You honestly never know. And there's also this story that Carr may reclassify to 2023. Could happen. We saw it with Quinn Ewers, right? Now, if that were to happen, Dante Moore's not going to Notre Dame. 1,000%. You you just don't make two quarterback classes. Can we name examples at LSU when the backup may have been better than the starter? Well, there's plenty of examples of, at the very least, the backup being as good as a starter, right? So take Jamarcus Russell, for instance. Jamarcus Russell was a better LSU quarterback than Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn was still a very good LSU quarterback. He still was. So sometimes it's just, a dude is as good as you are, just can't get the opportunity, right? Like, uh, let's see, at LSU, Matt was better than Jarrett Lee and Jordan Jefferson. And what would have made Matt being on the 2011 team very interesting is that he would have been, that would have been year 3 for him as a college player. So let's just say Matt started for LSU in 2011. Well, they probably don't beat Alabama because, Jordan Jefferson's mobility was a big reason why we won that game, but he's a better quarterback than them, right? So, and obviously, it was smart to play the more experienced guys, but he was better, and he might have been better that year than them. So that's the thing about just quarterback play in general. Gary Nussmeier might very well be the best quarterback in that room. It's just going to come down to how Brian Kelly feels, right? It's a very strange thing. Yeah, was Garrett better than Max, though, last year as a true freshman? No. I'm talking about quarterbacks that are better in their current state, like right now. And I don't think Nuss was a better quarterback than Max Johnson. I think Max should have been pulled for Nuss, but the whole redshirt thing got in the way. This will not be another redshirt discourse live stream. Eventually, I think it had more to do from my vantage point. I don't know how you guys feel. Max Johnson played himself out of the job. So Joe Burrow was better than Dwayne Haskins. That's just not true. At the time, Dwayne Haskins was better, right? Dwayne Haskins always won the Heisman. Now, Joe turned out to be better and not even close, way better. But Ohio State, I mean, they had close to Heisman Trophy level quarterback play. Now, would they have been better off with Joe Burrow? Maybe. Maybe so. I don't know. But part of you as a quarterback, when you do transfer, is the transfer itself, right? It does a lot. There's nothing quite like a real kick in the teeth, a real you're not good enough to play here moment. And that is essentially what transferring is. A school's telling you, hey, we like this guy better than you. And if you want to go somewhere else and play, all the power to you. Tua was better than Jalen as a true freshman. Yeah, it's true. That's true. And obviously Trevor better than Kelly Bryant. So yeah. But then again, they're both 5 stars and they were both, really, really good quarterbacks. So yeah, Tua better than Jalen. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I even said I was doing radio at the time when they got Tua. I was like, man, him with these receivers, I would seriously consider him starting because Hurts just wasn't as good of a passer as Tua. But I would take Jalen Hurts as a passer and just an overall quarterback over Tua now because Tua's injuries and Jalen's running ability, especially in fantasy. I don't think this Tua thing is going to work out really well. I don't. I know he's got Cheetah and Jalen Waddle. Like it's like 2 of the fastest receivers, like period. I don't know if that's going to work out. But like enough, Max from New York is not in here. He's a big Dolphins fan. We actually have a few Dolphins fans in here. So yeah. Yeah, Hurts was a 4-star and Tua was a 5-star. Max's confidence was shot before the season started. Uh, yes and no. I think I don't know. I don't know. I think part of Nuss's issue was not taking what the defense was giving him and forcing things into harm's way. But there was a lot of encouraging things you could see just from his arm talent. You look at things like ADOT, you look at things like his ability to really drive the football down the field. It's really impressive. And yes, I know that can lead to interceptions, but so be it. I want explosive plays in the passing game. And Garrett Nussmeier gives you that. And also, to a certain degree, Miles Brennan does as well. Now, Miles's passes just may not have the same gusto on it as they used to, but Miles throws a good deep ball. Yeah, I'm just not a Max believer. I'm just not. I know he was with Jake Peets. I just don't think this Texas A&M thing is going to work out for him. Uh, I don't dislike Max. I mean, he played through injury for us last year. Any guy that does that, I give him all the credit in the world. Someone mentioned confidence a minute ago. There are so many instances where he just would not throw the football, and he had time, and he had someone open, and he just didn't trust himself. And when you look at something like a 27 touchdown, 6 interception, that's the stat that they always say about Max Johnson. A lot of the lack of interceptions came down to him just eating sacks when he didn't have to. Uh, when you eat so many sacks and you throw balls away and you don't ever put things in harm's way, then of course your interception numbers are going to be down, right? Oh yeah, send it, Sip. I might not be able to go, but I mean, I'm gonna try. Always shout out the Super Dads of PHL. Golden Boot, what's good? Poop Hair, D Will, Ant, the whole crew. Good to see you. Oh my God. Okay, Big Al. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, one being just not clever at all, and 10 being the absolute dad joke of the century. By the way, hold on, I gotta get this. I gotta get this. No, 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 no. We had exactly 69 viewers on 6-9, and I wanted to get that moment in history. I feel like that's like something that I need to get. So we need two more people. Okay, we're at 68. Let's see if we can get 69 on 6-9. Okay. Nobody move. Nobody move. We just need one more person. Come on, one more person join the chat. You can do it. You can do it. No, we're at 71, which is good, but not great. Can we get to exactly 69? I know it's a little bit different from probably where you are and where I am, but on a scale of 1 to 10, rate Jared's dad joke right here. Maxwell repeats the same mistakes at 8 and 4. I love the punchline there at the end. The little extra jab to 8 and 4 makes the joke really good, right? Jerry Seinfeld would be like, "Goodness gracious, the cleverness." All right, we're at exactly 70. Boom! We got it. We got it. We got it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Trent, you did it for me. Trent, you're my guy. Trent jumped off the chat and then he jumped back on. Look, we're back at 70. Look at you. What's up, Jacob? Huh? Sip like the dad joke. Mick, this was a really good dad joke. We're up to 75 now. So I'm glad we got it while we got it. Dex, what's good? Can't wait to see you and the wifey at Tiger Stadium in the PHL shirts. Oh my God. And now Chris is sending me the photo. Now we're at 77. That is very impressive. I think a lot of people felt that energy. Let's see here. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Now we're up to 80. So we're not nobody leave. I don't want to go back down to 69. I don't want. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. That's good. That's good, man. I love it. We're trying to get more viewers into the channel and be like, and let's just say they just jumped in for that second. They're probably like, what the heck? What is this guy with all these childish jokes? But it is 6'9". Gotta get it. Now, this is and you know, I know we're talking about mostly quarterbacks here. Obviously, I've been spending a lot of time talking to looking into running backs. Let me guys ask you this right now: if you were to pick one player to finish second in receiving to K-Shot next season, type that player's name. Type J for Jack Bech, type B for BTJ, type M for Malik Neighbors, type JJ for Jeray Jenkins. I know him and Jack are the same. I probably should have thought of that. Type JJ for Jeray Jenkins if you believe Jeray is going to be the second leading receiver next year. We haven't talked receivers in quite some time. Lots of Jack Bech fans in here. Trent, Tony's a Jack Bech guy. Close to Malik guy. Jacob says Jack Bech. Everyone welcome the Mike Ken. This is such a professional headshot right here. Mike, I don't know if you're a lawyer or an accountant, but I need both of your services. Feel free to hit me up, my friend. Chris is a Hilton. I see that. English is like, look, we share the same name. So I got to go with my guy, Hilton. I like Hilton a lot. I do think he's more year 3. Thank you, Mike Ken. I appreciate that. Everyone welcome Mike Ken. He says he loves the channel. I don't know if this is your first time commenting. I believe it is. Because look at that headshot. That is like the most professional headshot like of all time. Right? Like, I mean, goodness gracious. The law firms of Mike Ken and Mike Ken. Okay. So last year, did a video on this, and we're probably going to do another video on it. What's up, Leonard? Good to see you. We're probably going to do another video on this as well, okay? Don't overthink who the number 2 wide receiver is going to be. Normally, what you expect to happen is what's going to happen, okay? So last year, going into last year, everyone was wondering, well, who is going to be the number 2 wide receiver to Terrace Marshall, right? Well, not Terrace Marshall, Kayshawn as well. So Jeray Jenkins was like the clear candidate. Now, I know Jeray Jenkins came out of nowhere in 2020. No one expected Jeray Jenkins to have the season he had. But still, the number 2 wide receiver, it's really hard, right? Because LSU has a historic run of number 2 wide receivers, right? They have had some of the best number 2 wide receivers, right? It's still crazy to think about that Justin Jefferson was the number 2 wide receiver in this offense, right? It's wild. But last year, I correctly predicted that Jeray Jenkins was going to be the number 2 wide receiver in last year's offense. And guess what happened? He was a number 2 wide receiver. Depends on which stat you look at, but overall, he was the number 2 guy. Now, he got benched and his snap share went down, but ultimately he worked his way back because Jeray Jenkins does a lot of the little things right for a team to win. Now, his blocking could get a little bit better, but still, I just think it's so clear that Jack Bech is the number 2 wide receiver on this team. You're telling me a guy that, and once again, this is the one thing about having players on the channel. Whenever you actually talk about them, I do feel like it is very important to disclose this information. Jack Bech was on the channel. So if you are new, we did an interview with Jack Bech. It was great. We talked about his life, got to know a little bit about him. I'm not just saying this because Jack Bech is, friend of the channel or whatever. Okay. I'm bringing that up just because someone could take this and be like, well, no wonder why you're saying Jack Bech. Here's what I like about Jack Bech. Catch percentage, ridiculous. He doesn't drop. Rarely does he drop. Third down completion percentage, amazing. When you need to move the chains, Jack Bech is that guy. And he has caught some of the biggest passes you can think of, right? He was actually robbed of an historic 3rd and 9 because Max Johnson sailed him versus Alabama. And it was straight zero coverage. So if that ball was on the money and Jack Bech breaks the tackle, he is scoring a touchdown to give us the lead or pitting an extra point. We have the best kicker in our school's history. We would have gone up versus Alabama 21-20 if, that ball was accurate. If Jack Bech would have broken the tackle, we won't know that. It would have been 50-50. He breaks tackles. He's good after the catch, converts third downs, quarterback's best friend, finds the open spots, and something else that we don't talk enough about Jack Bech, blocking. He is a good blocker, okay? Now, are there times when the blocking's not good? Yeah, but that's every true freshman wide receiver that has ever existed. So for me, it's going to take a lot for me to take Jack Bech off the field for someone else because I don't want my best receiver, which, you can look at a bunch of different stats. I think wide receiver is the second most important position, right, in college football, especially on the offensive side of the football. You got to have playmakers, right? That guy makes plays. It's true. Now, BTJ has ridiculous ceiling, jump ball ability. He's probably the best jump ball receiver on the team. Because of his length, he times jump balls really well. Even if he's pinned to the sideline, he makes really difficult catches. So BTJ, I love Malik Neighbors. Malik is really good at getting other people open, runs really good routes, really celebrates his teammates, very athletic. He plays bigger than 6 foot, right? He looks like a bigger target than that. I like Malik a lot. And obviously Dre, he's Dre, right? Reliable hands. Catch percentage was a little bit worse than what it was in 2020. Nothing to be worried about. A lot of his drops were tough 50-50 catches. Dre is really good at getting explosive plays. He's not the fastest, not the most talented receiver, far from it. The guy just makes plays, though. So that's my 5-man receiver rotation. And, that's how I feel about it. I think Hilton and Lacey are a little bit behind those other guys. So we'll see. Oh, Doug, your reporting has been foiled. Huh? But yeah, this is obviously key for Jack. How's he going to be used? He can do everything, right? He really can. But once again, Malik's got a lot of potential. I thought Malik really showed me something during the spring. This was a young man who was hurt to start spring. And, he came out and competed and, right away you could just see how good he was. And if I were to say something really quickly, I give Chris Hilton a lot of credit, right? This is a guy who's been hurt a lot. If you look at the technical aspects of receiving, Chris Hilton plucks the football out of the air. He catches a very clean football. What I mean by that is when he catches it, there's not a lot of bobble. He just plucks that thing. Now, the one thing about Chris Hilton is, size, right? I think Malik and Jack are better after the catch, right? And I think that's a very underrated trait is how good are you when you get the football? How easy do you go down? And Hilton just doesn't have as big a frame as those guys do. Now, he's faster than those guys, maybe by, a step or two in a 40-yard dash. But speed is not everything. So here's a good example of it, right? I like my receivers to be very powerful after the catch, right? When you get the football, are you a load to bring down? Okay. So here's a good example of it. You don't have to be a big frame guy like a Besh or you know Jamar, who's just his physical freak. You could be a slender guy. Like Justin Jefferson is probably one of the best after the catch receivers ever. Period. Any level of football, he's one of the best. Uh, the Georgia catch, obviously 3rd and 17 versus Texas. The Clemson juke. He is a very violent runner. Very violent. There was a 3rd and 5 where he was matched up on a Clemson linebacker, and the ball Joe threw was a little bit behind him. He was so wide open, and he caught it, got upfield, and just trucked a defensive back for an extra 2 yards. Every time Justin Jefferson gets the football, he can run you over, he can break an arm tackle, but he doesn't have a big frame, right? So it's tough. It's really tough, and I see that skill set in particular with Jack. Jack is really good. Kayshawn obviously is the best uh, at nearly everything on the team, but it's key. It's very key to break those tackles. Yeah, and we haven't talked about Coy Moore going to Auburn. Whenever you transfer to an SEC West school, I'm not gonna wish you the best because you're a rival, but I do wish Coy the best personally. I wish all these kids the best personally, except Elias Ricks. But kidding. But still, Alabama, really? Coy Moore goes to Auburn. Here's the issue with Coy Moore. He would fall down before he caught it. So, like, he would dive before he needed to dive. You don't do that. Keep your feet when you can keep your feet. But yeah, and that's the thing. Explosive plays win football games. Hey, Chris Hilton could be the return guy. Yeah, I don't know too much about Auburn's wide receiver room. I did see this. So I haven't done my Florida State study yet. There really is no point in really doing it because we're still so far away and injuries happen and whatnot. But I did see this. Okay, there was a draft writer. I don't remember the site who was claiming that Florida State had 4 wide receivers that are potential draft targets. And I don't know Florida State that well yet. There's no real reason for me to know them yet because honestly, the team doesn't like the team itself, LSU's team itself, they don't start doing their install until later anyway. Like they're probably already scouting and looking at film, but still I'm not gonna worry about Florida State right now. But I did see something very interesting. So this guy listed 4 receivers for Florida State that have draft potential. And even the Florida State fans were like, what in the what are you talking about? Our wide receiver room is not good. And I did a little bit of research and I was like, wait, what? It was like one kid was a transfer from Oregon. Another kid was like the number 3 guy on the team last year. Another guy was like a 5th-year senior who's never really done anything. And I don't know if the writer did the research or if he has more information than we do, but he listed 4 wide receivers for Florida State that have draft potential and 2 running backs that have draft potential. And I was like, oh, wow. But, just reading the comment section of it, it was like, even Florida State fans are like, yeah, our skill guys are not as good as you say. And it was a national writer writing about Florida State. So it's very, very interesting. Uh let's see. Tell Jayden to jump on with us right now. I'd love to have him on. I'd love to ask him about the intermediate passing. You fall down before you get knocked down. Now Rick's is gonna play. But yeah, it was interesting. I was like, man, maybe Florida State does have some work done that I don't know about. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But what do I know? Just give me just 0.5 of a tight end. I like that, Ron. That's good stuff. Yeah, Jordan Travis is the guy at Florida State. There you go. Akon and LGZ. Who's joining the PHL T-shirt club tonight? I feel like there is somebody in the chat right now who is ready to join the PHL T-shirt club tonight. Also, shout out as always to our friends at Presley Collection and PresleyCollection.com. Okay. Diamond ring. Some people just want it all. Alicia Keys would love some diamonds from the Presley Collection. Check it out. Diamond pendants, necklaces, earrings. Are you thinking about engagement? I decided to go with the Presley Collection, and everywhere Haley goes, all she hears about is, where'd you get that rock? Where did Carter get that rock? As I slobber during the read. Check it out. Presley Collection, PresleyCollection.com. Shirts are currently in transit. So, Jacob, what happened is my distributor, who's also a viewer of the channel, he didn't comment. His name's Scott. He called me and said, Carter, there's a back order on our medium shirt. So your shirt is done, Jacob. I'm still waiting to get it. But Jacob, just for you, knowing that you are building your collection, I'm actually throwing a few extra surprises in there. There you go, Trent. You don't mess with Cash Apps, Venmo, anything like that. Well, I got Coinbase. If you want to Ethereum or Bitcoin, or back in school we had like Tiger Cash, Paw Points, all these different things. So you want to do that? You could super chat it. It would be a little bit more because YouTube gets their cut. If you super chat 50 bucks right now, I'll send you a shirt and we can settle it, or we can figure it out. And here's the thing. And you can ask Dexis, he was in here earlier. If you get a shirt for the wifey, it's discounted, baby. So shoot me an email, Trent. If you really want a shirt, let me know. I'm happy to help you out. powerhourlsu@gmail.com. You could Zell it, or you can, I could send you my address right now, Trent. Just bring a 6-pack of Michelob Lime Ultra, prickly pear cactus, and some cash, and we'll have ourselves a little party. Go back at the grill, and by the grill is I don't have a grill, so bring a grill as well, and not like Paul Wall Nelly grill. I'm talking about like a Blackstone. Put it in the back of the truck, trailer, whatever, and we'll cook some steaks. Cash or checks? Huh? So Jay, I do have a PO box, so feel free to shoot me an email, and I'll happily work it out. Because I got a bunch of shirts coming in, and I need them to go. The blue alert. So there's Dex right there. He and the wife, we got the LSU shirt. Malik's number 3 on Ron G's wide receiver chart. That's fine. I can see that. I really can. I could definitely see that. Ooh. Bucci, what's good? Leroy's Lemonade. Let's go, Leroy. Anthony Bradford is still on the roster. Unless there's something that happened. But a lot of these guys that have been around here for a while, they're still on the roster. So you very well could see. Okay. You very well could see a guy like a Todd Harris start next year. You could see a Cardell Thomas start next year. You can see a lot of these guys that have been around the block for quite some time start next year. So, by the way, if you don't believe in any of the cash stuff, the cash apps, Venmo, Super Chats, and all that, shoot me an email. I do take cash and check, and we'll get it squared away. Let's go, Bucci. Oh, well, Leonard. Hey, so this is something that, like, there's all these new laws as far as, like, all this stuff, and it's going to honestly destroy me. And I'm just going to be honest. Here you go. So I'm going to write it right here, and we can definitely settle it. That is my email. You can always reach out to me. And I'm on Instagram, Twitter, if you guys don't email, at Carter the Power, at Power Hour LSU. Either one of those accounts. And there you go. Oh, we got Gunna in here. I'm kidding. YGF Goldmouth. If Todd Harris started, I'm not. Huh? Goldmouth. This is the comment of the year. I love it. I love hot takes. I do. So I love this is my favorite comment ever. I hope Todd Harris, if he plays next year, I hope he's the next Eric Reed. But I just love, like, your first comment is the hottest take ever. YGF? Are you serious? You would not watch LSU football next season? YGF, are you being serious? You are not going to watch LSU football at all next season? YGF. I've got to know this. Like, you're boycotting LSU football if Todd Harris starts. He's still on the team. I mean, he was still working out during spring. He just didn't play. Todd Harris. All right, type Y for yes, type in for no. You will boycott next season if LSU starts Todd Harris. Let's take a look at the poll question. Which annual SEC game do you get the least excited about? Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and other. Okay. Houston, we have a problem. All right, Minnesota Steve. That's good stuff, man. I love that. Good stuff. Skipper, who is a great grandpa, said there ain't nothing wrong with old school. Hey, one night I'm gonna get Burt Jones on here, and the crowd will go wild. Now, I am only modern era LSU, so like post 2000 LSU, Kev Falk is like as far as I'll talk, because pre that I'm just not as knowledgeable as like a Skipper. But one day I'm going to get Burt Jones on here. I actually have a connect to Burt Jones. I've met Burt, I think 2 or 3 times. One of his really good friends is a good friend of mine. And obviously he's a great dude and played at LSU. Yeah, Minnesota, I got it, Ann. Okay, so why? No cap. Hey, and why, Jeff? I'm going to be honest. There might be some LSU fans that feel that way, right? We've just had bad safety play over the past couple of seasons. What's kind of funny, and I just want to bring this guy up, and he's a North Louisiana guy as well. Cam Lewis is like was like a really good player for us last year. Master Blaster. Kind of love it. Yeah, Steve, I got you. I'll email you at the end of this live stream. Good stuff, man. All right. I feel as if. Okay, so type Y for yes, type N for no in the poll question. Did you type other in the poll question? Type Y for yes, type N for no. And yeah, Doug, I'll go back to the CJ Carr story if you super chat out. We've discussed it quite a bit, but yes, he did go to Notre Dame. So Trent, is there all right? So Trent voted other. What school did you say? Which annual SEC team did you say? Aaron, what about you? You voted other. Okay. You voted other. So Trent says he gets the least excited about Auburn. Jewel, you voted other. Who was your team? Who did you say, Aaron? Aaron said Auburn. Yeah, I could see Auburn because, we've beaten them so many times at home. It's just the Auburn game has had so many historical finishes, right? Like, obviously, Flinderbird is the biggest. And then, the 2018 kick was a big one. The Cam Newton coming out game was actually that Auburn game versus LSU. That was like his first real Heisman moment. So LSU Auburn does have some history, but I could definitely see Auburn. I really can. Let me see here. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about Mississippi State. Okay, so they return Connor Rogers, or Will Rogers, and he's a really good quarterback. He plays the Mike Leach offense to a T, lots of intermediate passes. Obviously, a pure pocket quarterback, not really a runner. But obviously, we beat them. Obviously, rushing 3, dropping 8. Kayshawn taking over. So yeah, Minnesota, Steve, who would you have picked if it was other? Which SEC annual team do you get the least excited about? So let me know in the comments who here said Arkansas, who here said Mississippi State, who here said Ole Miss. I just don't see how Ole Miss could be your least excited one. Maybe it's a Lane Kiffin factor, but if you're older, the Ole Miss game is always going to feel a lot to mean a lot to you because of the Billy Cannon run. But yeah, I could see Ole Miss as well because they've just been so terrible. When you think of legendary LSU Ole Miss games, there was obviously a Les Miles clock mishap there. I mean, have there really been that many legendary LSU Ole Miss games? I'm just trying to think. Let me see. Pull up the LSU Ole Miss rivalry. Magnolia Bowl. All right, the results. Zoom in right here. Okay. Let's do a screen share. So the reason why I bring this up is because we're talking. The big discussion is who is going to be in your pod if the SEC goes 9-game conference schedule. Starting to think they're going to go more 8. My buddy Dave Bartu is trying to talk me into 8. I still think they should go 9, but we'll see. So you had that 53-48 game. The only issue with the 53-48 game, the Kayshawn game in 2020, is Ole Miss was already bowl eligible, right? And the recruiting period had been pushed back to mid-December. So Ole Miss's biggest focus wasn't the game, and LSU wasn't going to a bowl either. I just felt like that game was just so chaotic. It was a very exciting game, but still, outside of that, though, you see a bunch of these very strange games. I don't remember too much from this 10-7 game at all. You have a 27-24 mixed in there. Obviously, the Odell kick return was a big deal in 2012, so there's that. And then you have 25-23 in 09. So, yeah, I guess, there's a good bit of competitive matchups mixed in here for modern era LSU football. I don't remember anything from this 10-7 game. Oh, I do remember now. Uh, like 2014, didn't someone in Les Miles had I was in Tiger Stadium. Les Miles had like a personal tragedy happen, and LSU found a way to win the game. And Ole Miss was actually like nationally ranked. So yeah, I guess that was a pretty big game. Well, yeah, Coop, I would agree with that, but that's the thing. That's not a permanent thing. It is a permanent thing, but it's a rotational thing, right? Um, but yeah, Ole Miss was number 4. So I was at Tiger Stadium. I remember this game pretty well. What's up, Johnny 5? Good to see you. All right, so Minnesota Steve said Mississippi State. Tony said Mississippi State as well. Who said Arkansas? Fournette's face mask got ripped off. That's true. Yeah, the iconic photo. He looked like one of those old school football players. Johnny 5. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would say either that or any one of those McFadden runs is probably the most impressive thing I've seen happen to an LSU team. Obviously Devonta Smith versus us was pretty impressive. Najee Harris versus us was also very impressive. But yeah, Cam was a beast. So I'm looking at the poll. It's Arkansas 17%, Ole Miss 8%. So Mississippi State won this poll by a pretty sizable margin. So what's really funny about that is if LSU and Mississippi State play, Johnny, thank you so much. Really do appreciate the generosity there, my friend. Another $10 super chat. Appreciate you, man. So let's see here. Let's pull up LSU, Mississippi State. Okay. So here we go. LSU, Mississippi State, 28-25. Yeah, it was a good game. 44-34. That was a very competitive game. Obviously, blowout, blowout, blowout. 23-20 in 2016, 21-19 in 2015. I remember that game. They missed a long field goal. 34-29. That was the Dak game. 59-26. And you just see all this purple right here. I mean, goodness gracious. 3 wins. 3. And not many of these are competitive. 48-17, 37-7, 45-0, 34-24, 30-26. Very interesting. 29-7, 19-6. I was in Mississippi State for that game. Very interesting. Yeah, you had the Chad Jones game. Yeah, that was crazy. It's still wild. Cam, still wild. So yeah, I'm man, LSU crazy domination against Mississippi State. So no one in the chat said Arkansas, even though the poll said that. That's good because growing up in Arkansas and having a lot of friends in Arkansas, um, you know, the battle for the Golden Boot. Okay. All right. And here's the Golden Boot results right here. Right there. 13, 16, 27, 24. Obviously, 2 competitive games right there. But then you get a lot of blowouts mixed in here. 56-20, 24-17. That leads very misleading. That score's very misleading. Arkansas scored 2 touchdowns at the end. 33-10, 38-10, 31-14, 17-0. Ugh, Les Miles getting out coached by Bielema. But then what's very interesting is you have a long run of really competitive games. So 31-27, 2013, obviously 2 really hard-fought games right there. 41-17, that score is very misleading. Arkansas obviously was number 3. And what was very interesting was Arkansas jumped out to a 14-0 lead. This 31-23 game got Arkansas in the Sugar Bowl. Then 33-30, 31-30, obviously 50-48. We won't talk about that one. 31-26, that was, the Jamarcus Russell game. 19-17, 43-14, 55-24, 21-20. You see, you just got a lot of good games. And at least Arkansas's been like semi-competitive, unlike Mississippi State. And of course, you got the battle for the Golden Boot. Now, let the band play Nick. Let's go. Bobby Petrino. What's up, LJ? Good to see ya. Ray Liotta, man. Still stings. What's very interesting about Arkansas is, so I'm doing this exercise right now with Dave Bartu, and this really blew me away. How different Arkansas fans feel about LSU, and it's not reciprocated the other way. Now, North Louisianians care a little bit more about the Arkansas rivalry because, they're close to Arkansas. There's Arkansas fans in North Louisiana. There's a lot of LSU fans in South Arkansas, a fair amount. But if you were to list the schools you hate the most, a lot of you are going to list Alabama, Florida, and A&M before you ever mention Arkansas. All right, Trent, we'll see you on Saturday night. I do, Jared. I do. I want to win that boot every year just because, it's a lot of my best friends went to Arkansas. I don't know why LSU Arkansas never really became a thing. I understand it's two completely different level football programs, but it's not for a lack of caring. Arkansas's got the most loyal fan base in the SEC because there are no other Division One teams, and there's also no other professional sports teams. Now they have minor league baseball, but that's not really anything. LSU and Arkansas are perfect, right, for each other. It's not reciprocated. Okay. A lot of you have been in relationships where you actually were perfect for each other, but for whatever reason, you may not like the other one. They might not like you. Let's go. LJ, thank you for the very generous super chat. My friend, Cardell for Captain. Gotta love it. Thank you, man. See, there you go. Yeah, Jared, they did, but they didn't, right? Because if you force a rivalry to happen and one school really wants the rivalry to happen, but the other one doesn't, and geographically, while the schools are 9 hours apart, the states have a long border. I mean, we're in the South. It forms a perfect boot. It's crazy, right? But, you know, as an LSU fan, a lot of people don't view that. Let me ask you this. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Is Arkansas one of your top 3 rivals as an LSU fan? Like, as in, you get that amped up for that game. Britt, good to see you. So this would be my response to this, okay? I don't like the hog call. I personally don't. But at the same time, an Arkansas fan would say, well, how many grown adults yell out, suck that tiger eggplant emoji? It's probably pretty bizarre as well. They would say, oh, so you spell things EAUX. We all have our own little like quirky traditions, but the hog call is very interesting. I do agree, Britt, that it is very strange, but at the same time, I don't know. I like that there is something that we could do in America together, and obviously Arkansas fans do this together. That is totally ridiculous, but all kind of sort of makes sense at the same time, right? So it is an embarrassing thing, but I guess it's what makes college football great. None of this makes sense. This is the same sport where someone poisoned their rival fans' trees. Okay, uh, this is the same sport where the most gruesome rivalry that happens to play on Thanksgiving ended when a player lifted his leg up to recreate a dog relieving himself. The SEC is pure chaos, right? I just don't know anything like it. I really don't. I do think people that are not fans of the SEC don't quite get it. They just don't. They're like, how can all these people be fans of these schools, get tattoos of the school all over their body, and never actually go to the school? It's funny, like, because I'll tell you this, Brett. So growing up, I had never lived outside the South. So when I moved to Washington, D.C., some people there knew what college football was like, but a lot of people just didn't get it. They're all like pro sports fans. They're like, Wait, so you're a fan of the sport that does all these strange things, and there's more people that attend these games than NFL games. Well, most college games. Well, LSU games in Alabama and Florida, whatever. Yet the players are students. Huh? Speaking of which, here's my tailgating buddy right here, one of my closest friends. We have spent many a Mardi Gras, many a life together. Bryce, it's good to see you. This is a pleasant surprise. Good to see you, my man. Thank you for your support. Shout out to Bryce's dad, Eddie. Played for the Tigers many years ago. And it's good to see you, Bryce. What's up, man? God, Bryce, we have so many stories. Appreciate it. Yeah, LJ. So that's actually happening. Let me know. LJ, we have each other's email. I am happy to help out. I've been to Fayetteville plenty of times. Fayetteville is a perfect college city. It really is. It's not like this metropolis. And something else that's really good about Fayetteville is there is a lot of jobs when you get out of school. Okay. And there you go, Bryce. Thanks for the text, man. I appreciate the engagement, man. Jason Caleb Gaston. Arkansas has always been my number 2 team in the SEC. Go Tigers, number 1. So I say all this. We did this exercise, and this did not shock me at all. Dave Bartu asked me to list the 5 teams that LSU fans would for sure want on their schedule every year. So I just picked the 5 teams. Like now, if I was athletic director, I would let's just say you do the 3-6 schedule format. The most likely and plausible schedule format, if it does go 3-6-9, shout out to Lil John and the East Side boys. If it does go 3-6 for the 9-game schedule, I think your 3 permanents would be Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Texas A&M. It makes a lot of sense. I don't want to get into the hypotheticals and all that tonight, but we've done a ton of videos as to why it does. Let's see. I got to change camera. Stop camera right there. Settings. There we go. So what's cool about the non-high def camera is you actually get to see the autograph. I mean, look at this. It says to Carter, boom, let's go. That's so cool. As long as we keep Florida. That's the thing. I really do feel I really do feel this way. And Bryce, let me know what you think. Let me know what all you guys think. I just think Florida is the most vitriolic rival. One of the reasons why I love the Florida rivalry so much is it's a very organic thing that happened. The reason why the Florida game became so big has nothing to do with geography, has nothing to do with like this coach used to coach here, so and so. It is a strictly vitriolic. It's all about football and the competitiveness of the matchups. And look, Florida and LSU have been basically the same program since 2003, right? We have what? We have one more national championship than them, and some down periods, some up periods, some elite periods. And obviously we've been more elite than them recently, but we're 2 programs on a very similar playing field, right? Even though LSU is a better program than Florida, it's a better job than Florida. I'm not sure if it's really close. I just think the Florida matchup has just kind of become its own thing based on the football itself. And I think that's what makes it really special. You have 2 fan bases that don't really cross over, right? There's not look, for instance, there's a lot of you that live in Alabama that watch the channel, right? There just is. And I'm not saying there's not LSU fans that live in Florida. There's plenty of them. It's just, Baton Rouge is 9 hours away from Gainesville. There's just not a whole lot of crossover. the football and the drama surrounding some of the matchups is what has caused this rivalry to be what it is now. Okay. It's a good question from Robert. What is a more dramatic game changer moment? The Egg Bowl, pee, or the shoe throw in the swamp? That's a pretty good question from Robert. So let's see here. Feel free to pick the LJ. You get to pick the next topic for your super chat. Same thing for you, Johnny. I meant to say that a minute ago. I know you guys are normally the just keep the chat moving along kind of guys. But feel free, guys, to super chat, Venmo, Cash App. Appreciate you guys helping support the channel. We are so close to 7,000 subscribers. I'm looking at you. Well, in order for you to chat, you got to subscribe. So go right ahead, smash that subscribe button. Let's see. I don't know why my computer's lagging so much. If I can get the poll question up. They both got coaches fired. Okay, LJ, it's a good question. Let's see here. My topic is the next SEC coach to get canned, and you can't say Brian Harsin. Actually, I wouldn't say Brian Harsin because of all the drama. He's kind of got them. I mean, all the buyout. I mean, that's just a mess. Auburn's the toughest job in America. I've always felt this way. If I was an Auburn fan, screw the SEC toughest rivalry. There's no reason for you to have to play Georgia every year. And if I was Auburn, I would go to the league office right now and say we need to get rid of this matchup now. It's death. You're walking into death. It's stupid that you have to play that, and no one else in the West has to accept one other team, and it's rotational. Dude, good to see you. Auburn's the worst job because unreasonable expectations, boosters are all over the place, and I have no idea why you'd want to run off Gus Malzahn. No idea. And I know things got sour, and he made a horrible hire in Chad Morris. That will never make sense to me. But the bottom line is this, okay? The guy beat Alabama twice. Once with Nick Marshall, and another time with Bo Nix as his quarterback. Twice. He did the Iron Bowl. He won that rivalry twice. He almost won a national championship with Nick Marshall at quarterback. Why were Auburn fans so gung-ho to get him the you-know-what out? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I would guess Clark Lee, but I mean, what are you going to do at Vanderbilt? I think Eli Drinkowitz actually is a really talented coach. He made a bad DC hire. He made that Wilkes was so bad last year for them. So, that's the thing. If you screw, I mean, you cannot screw up these coordinator hires. You can. Position coaches overall are very replaceable, very interchangeable. Coordinators are not, right? It's why Arkansas has had a lot of success. Pittman just destroyed his coordinator hires. He killed it. And, at some other schools, it's not as important, like Alabama, for instance. But you've got to get that right. You just do. And, Orgeron had the best set of coordinators 2019, and saw what happened in 2020 and 2021. Not only did his own coaching deteriorate, the coordinators deteriorated as well, right? Yeah, Chance, I will never get over Brian Harsin losing that game, right? They got every lucky break. Jamison Williams gets called for a targeting penalty on a punt team. Very interesting. So you get that unbelievably lucky break. All right, if that guy wasn't in the lineup, Alabama's roster wasn't really that explosive. Then you got all these stops, right? And I know TJ Finley didn't play well, but at least wasn't turning the football over. And the thing is, and a lot of teams do this, you can't back into winning versus Alabama. You have got to go out there and win the game. You have got to put the foot on the gas pedal at all times. And what happened was Auburn had a few opportunities to go for it on fourth down, but most notably in overtime, you go for two in the win, right? And the thing was he kicked the extra point instead of going for two in the win on the spot. You're telling me that you as an offensive play caller didn't have a 2-point conversion play that you knew was going to work? And here's the thing. The very next overtime, they had to hit a 2-point, and they called a really good play. A nice little tight end throwback that fooled the defense. That probably works to win the game. That was a time where you have to be aggressive. And I'm glad you brought this up, Chance, because this is going to be a big thing for me and Brian Kelly. I love coaches that are aggressive on fourth down. I'd rather be too aggressive than too conservative. I thought Sam Pittman was too conservative at times on fourth down last year for Arkansas. Obviously, Ed Orgeron was one of the worst. He was too aggressive at times versus Ole Miss, kicked the field goal on 4th and 2. That wasn't as bad as the 4th and 9, down 20-14, with 8 minutes left to go in the fourth. That's you got to kick the field goal there in my mind. Even though the math showed that going for a touchdown there actually made sense. And the same for Ole Miss. He probably should have kicked field goals there in both instances, because Max Johnson wasn't a good red zone QB. So even though the math backed him up, you still, I still think you should have kicked the field goals in both those instances. But outside of that, he was very, very conservative on fourth down. I love Lane Kiffin's aggressiveness. I thought he made one really bad fourth down decision versus Auburn, but for the most part, I think he did pretty good. So Lane versus Bama was perfectly fine to me, right? I still am struggling to find where the fourth down decision didn't actually work out. You have a bad defense going up against a really good offense, and you're an offensive team. So if it's like 4th and 1, even if you're on your own, and I'll go back and look at it, but I remember looking at it at the time, go for it. If that's who you are, you go for it, right? I am kind of interested to go back and look at all those fourth down decisions versus Alabama. Hey, Paris. Hey, Keon. Good to see you guys and gals. So, yeah. Good stuff. LG wants to talk some Jackson Dart. I'm down. I wouldn't say he looks terrible. He did have a rough spring game, but if you look at a lot of the transfer quarterbacks that went to a new school, a lot of them didn't have good spring games. Even Caleb Williams looked a little shaky, right? Quinn Ewers, who everyone thinks is going to be special. I don't think he's that good, really, but he had a rough spring game. Jayden Daniels had a rough spring game. So, there's so much pressure when you go to the new school to be very successful and to make everything happen at once and impress all the teammates that I do think new transfer quarterbacks have a tendency to press in the spring game just a little bit. So yeah, and once again, Lane's a guy, right? He can make a lot of quarterbacks look really good. So yeah. All right, guys, this has been fun. Now, here's a good thing. Got 69 viewers again. That's good. I think I got it. Let me see. The Quinn Ewers hype. Well, all right, guys. We will keep this live stream going all night long. But here's what we're going to do. In the next 5 minutes, I will answer as many LSU or just anything related questions as we possibly can. Tonight, we talked about a lot of stuff, but more importantly, we hung out with you, the viewer, right? It's the most important thing. So I answered as many questions. I think I tried to get to every question. Once again, the chat gets, once it gets over just 40 people, it gets insane. But yeah, I'll answer as many in the next 5 minutes. If I didn't get to one of your questions, feel free to jump right in. What's up, Greg? Good to see you. But if you do super chat, if you're just joining in, I will keep going all night. Keep dropping those super chats, baby. Let's see. I'm not buying the Quinn Ewers hype either. Yeah, just don't. I don't know. It's just not like. It's like not anything. Is he really good? Yeah. Is he really talented? Absolutely. Does he have Texas's best set of skill guys in quite some time? Yes, he does have Bijan Robinson, Worthy, those guys. And he's got good receivers, right? Interested to see what that offensive line looks like. Interested to see how Sark handles pressure, right? So, yeah, once again, what's up, Greg? I know, Robert, it seems like this is just another Texas troll opportunity. This is a good question right here from the press. Most important Coach Brian Kelly, assistant coach hire. So, happy Prez is here. This is going to be the only time you'll ever see me hold anything up like this. I do have a special gift for the Prez, and this was given to me actually in New York City when I got to see the English Premier League trophy up close, and I've always wanted to give this to Prez. There you go. A Man City koozie. That's part of the reason why I'm wearing my Liverpool hat, just to let everyone know where my allegiances lie. So there you go, Prez. That is going to you. This is kind of old too. This was back in 2018 or something like that. Sark versus Saban. Yeah, that's true. There you go, Cliff. Most important, Coach Brian Kelly, assistant coach hire. So let's take the coordinators out of it because they are so much more important. Let's also take Frank Wilson out of it. He's a recruiting coordinator. Uh, so yeah, let's take him out of the equation. Obviously, I've always felt your offensive line coach is your fourth most important assistant, and that still is a Brian Kelly hire. He decided to retain Brad Davis, so I'm gonna go with Brad. But we'll see. Jamar Kane has a lot of hype. It's going to be interesting to see how he actually lines his defensive line up next season. So obviously, Jamar Kane was the most lauded assistant coach that wasn't Frank Wilson that got hired. Yeah, so is Frank Wilson the recruiting coordinator? I know Polian also does recruiting as well. They might both be recruiting coordinators. Once again, recruiting is a big deal. I do know Polian does do a lot in recruiting, and what's interesting in this press conference, he made when he actually did a press conference at the end of spring, he let it be known like a few targets that they were looking after. And he couldn't say by name, but he did provide some specificity of what they're still looking for in the transfer portal. And one of those positions, of course, is tight end. Uh, Here's a good question. What's more likely, a 3K passer, Emery 1K rushing, or Butte has 10 yards, 10 touchdowns? Kayshawn obviously would be my pick. 3,000 yard passer. Let me see. Did Max Johnson throw for 3,000 yards last year? I don't think he did. Threw for 2,815. So probably Kayshawn, then probably a 3,000 yard passer. Um, so yeah, I would say Kayshawn. Playing as a title, he's roster management specialist. So let me look at this. Oh, yeah, all right. So Ryan Polian is a recruiting coordinator, and Frank Wilson is the associate head coach. That's right. So there you go. But I also think Frank Wilson, of course, is going to do a lot. He's going to do a lot of recruiting, and probably has more recruiting say so than Polian just because of the Louisiana ties. But you're technically right. That's good stuff. Kayshawn doesn't even play left back though. He gets forward well, but struggles to cross. I don't know what this is, but Kayshawn would be a good left back though. I still think they're looking for a tight end right now to somehow, some way, magically get him eligible for next season. What up, Cole? Good to see you, man. Mm. Jared, thank you. We'll keep it going. There you go, Cole. All you got to do is follow the instructions right here. You want to join the PHL T-shirt club? Jump right on in, man. Jump right on in. The water's warm, baby. Let's go. This is getting crazy. So I don't know if Joe actually Kane's one of the best finishers, and Kayshawn finds his head 10% of the time. I have no idea. Uh, Apparently, Kayshawn plays for Tottenham. Is Tottenham's left back? I just saw them play. I don't think their left back's name is Kayshawn. So there you go, Cole. You want to join the PHL T-shirt club? Shoot me an email, powerhourlsu@gmail.com, and I will happily help you out. LA Mom is still believing in Brandon. I love it. The over-under will be for passing next year. So for like passing yards, Duke, thank you for the super chat. We're going to keep this thing moving. So, Duke, you get to pick the next question. Robert, I know we do a lot of what it could have, should have with Miles that year, and it's fun to do. Obviously, 2020 was such a strange year in and of itself. Over under passing yards for this year, I would probably put it at 2,800. What Max had last year, because he was mostly a below replacement level QB. So I'd put it about right there. But yeah, Miles would have had some regression at some point. So Duke, you get to pick the next question. New version of the shirt. Well, I'm not wearing mine tonight. It is still dirty from the Baton Rouge trip. So show you this. So here you go. PHL. And then on the back, boom. Look at that. Obviously, it helps the channel grow. It helps you get the right PHL wherever you want. But mostly, times are tough. But I'm always open. Like inflation has hurt a lot of YouTubers, especially like independent ones like myself. But like I'm not gonna get kicked out like tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, it's just how it is. If you have less disposable income to give to content creators, well, it just hurts. But it's not like the end of the world for me. I'm being dead serious. But yeah, if you get a shirt, it's really good. It helps grow the brand. If someone sees your shirt, they're like, "Wait, what is that? Power LSU? What is that?" But yeah, it helps out big time. It really does. And the cool thing is, if you don't want a shirt, you can still get booger bands. Boom. Gotta love it. Jacob has got himself plenty of shirts. So yeah, but super chats, donations. I mean, always got to shout out Jared, Johnny Five, Rob G. You guys help out Duke. I got some XLs coming in as well. Jacob got himself an XL. So they'll be here before you know it. And XLs normally sell out pretty fast, right? But yeah, I mean, that's not like a pity party. It's just, the truth of, how all this stuff is happening right now. See. Who are candidates from LSU to jump in the portal after training camp? I think there's a lot, but also, if you wait till that far, you're like kind of just committed to that season. And what's very interesting, Chance, is like a lot of those players still have the 2020 season they still have that extra year of eligibility that doesn't account against their eligibility, and it doesn't account against their red shirts. So it's a very strange thing. There you go, Michael. But you can do it through here. That's fine, man. That's fine. Just make because YouTube takes a chunk. So there you go. But you could send it through YouTube. That's fine. I know it's easier to do that. Nice material, baby. Real men wear 2XL. I got a ton of 2XL. Right. What's interesting is I had to get a ton of 2XL because I had a lot of requests for 2XL. And now I got a ton of 2XL. Then all my XLs sold out in like a short period of time. Do the shirts shrink? Maybe a little. Like, I don't think so. I have like two or three. So I have three actually. So I haven't really washed them a whole ton. But maybe someone that wears theirs a lot. I know Jared wears theirs a good bit. Britt, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate you. You get to pick the next topic, and we're just gonna go all night. I feel like these 9.99 super chats are just gonna keep flowing, baby. Michael Venmo is at Carter the Power. I know it's kind of small print, but it is floating in the bottom portion of the screen. There you go. I appreciate it, Michael. Michael B is show Michael B. Wait, are you the Michael B. Jordan? I'm so sorry about what happened with Lori Harvey. There we go. There you go. So Michael B, shoot me an email. Minnesota Steve's getting himself some shirts. That's good. I'm gonna email you right when this ends, Minnesota Steve. So shoot me an email, Michael B, and we will get everything all squared away for you once those XL shirts get back in. Yes, my Venmo is at Carter the Power. And yes, I got plenty of Justin Jefferson cards, and I will happily send you those. I'm gonna throw some extras in there as well. I don't have many like super like high end Justin Jefferson cards because they are so expensive. His cards are very expensive. And look at you, Britt also joined the PHL T-shirt club. Look at this, huge man. So Britt, you and Michael right now send me an email, powerhourlsu@gmail.com. Let me know your shirt size, your address, and all that stuff, and I will happily get those out to you. Okay, that's good stuff. Jacob, hey, Jacob's like, I think Jacob has more PHL shirts than anyone. Dex was in here earlier. Uh, if both of you guys have significant others, feel free to message me. And that second shirt, especially for the significant other. Happy wife, happy life, happy girlfriend. That doesn't rhyme with life, but still the same thing applies. But yeah, Britt, you get to pick the next topic. And shout out to you, Britt, joining the PHL T-shirt club. Goes a long way. And once again, we always say this. We do have a lot of active military that watch the channel. I have a lot of people on Air Force bases that watch the channel. A lot of veterans, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for your service, Britt. And there you go. Since Archie Manning? Wait. That's crazy. That's kind of crazy. You love Jets? Okay, let me make sure I write that down. There you go. Justin Jefferson. There we go. Echo, I just saw it. That's good stuff, man. Michael, you could send it without the last 4 digits of the phone number. It could still go through. So go ahead and send it. I've done this plenty of times, and if for some reason it doesn't go through, if you want, Michael, I can send it to you via Gmail as well. There you go. There you go. There you go, Michael. So Michael's a part of the. Look at all these PHL T-shirt club members in. All right, Britt, and let me know who your favorite legendary LSU player is. I'm gonna send you a few cards as well. That's the best thing about it. I get you guys. So Jacob is like a legit card addict now. That's obviously a good thing. If you are interested in, oh yes, Michael, that is where you live. I forgot about that. Good stuff. So there we go. So Michael Buster. Make sure we got a few Michaels in here. All right, we got addresses too. That's good stuff. Let's see here. What's up, Jason? Let's go here. Good stuff. There you go. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Werfel? That's crazy. Jason, good to see you. I don't know what the football please is, but there you go. I wish, if you're saying football like please, I wish there was football right now. But shout out to the NOLA Breakers. I haven't checked in on them lately, but apparently they're decent. Go USFL. Go CFL. CFL's coming up. And I've been listening to a few podcasts about like sports gambling. I didn't know that like CFL is like a good market to exploit. Like that's one of the better markets to like take advantage of, which is really cool. I guess I got to start looking at some CFL stuff. Very interesting. So this is Brit Super Chat. Also, the two Michaels, Michael B. Well, both of y'all are Michael B's. So I better make sure I get these addresses right. So put this down. So yeah, I think so. And look, this is always going to be the case. So this is something that a lot of you have been upset about. And I've heard you guys be upset about this very thing. I don't like it that Notre Dame fans have been so visceral and so attached really to Brian Kelly. Now they say that they're really excited about Marcus Freeman. They might be. I don't know. I think Notre Dame fans have kind of sort of moved on. They definitely feel really good about tonight. They were the story in college football, getting the first quarterback from 2024 to commit. Well, actually, it wasn't the first. The Raiola kid went to Ohio State, but still a 5-star quarterback committed to their school. But this is very key. Notre Dame fans are still going to be sour about this. And I understand as an LSU fan, you want to like lash out about that. Don't. Because the reason why Notre Dame fans are so pissed off about the Brian Kelly thing is because they were told that they weren't good enough. Right? We're talking about this with the LSU-Arkansas rivalry a minute ago. Once you're told you're not good enough and you think you are one of the best football programs of all time, and Notre Dame is, but not now. They're good, but they're not the elites. It's tough. And they still have to deal with that for quite some time. So, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I always say this. Brian Kelly came to LSU not because he can recruit better. That's part of it. It's just easier to recruit at LSU. And it's not just the hop on the plane and go around the country kind of thing. Because look, Brian Kelly's recruiting nationwide right now anyway. It's the Louisiana advantage. It's the Louisiana 5-star and also the Louisiana 3-star. There's just better players in Louisiana per capita in the NFL. Also, if you just look at like 3-star Louisiana guys, I know it's very anecdotal. One day I'm just going to spend a whole week looking at if Louisiana 3-stars hit at a higher rate than other state 3-stars. Wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. It's just true. Louisiana players are built different. They just are. I know it's not like a deep analytical thing, and I know it's not like a deep breakdown. And if someone was watching this, it would come off as very braggadocio. But the reason why Brian Kelly came here, and I'm so glad you brought this up, Britt, is exactly this, right? Just exact comment. It's very interesting. You know what's funny about this, Britt? It's like I've not really thought about it in these terms. Now, Michael B, let's see. Buster, I got to come up with a name for Buster. Do you mind if I call you Buster? Because we have so many Michaels. I kind of need nicknames for you guys. You know, I called Jared J-Red because we got a bunch of Jareds as well. Aaron was in here earlier. He goes by Smooth Jazz now. I love that name. Oh, you go by Buster? That's cool. And that's part of it as well, Michael. There's a lot of truth in that as well. And you're right, Daryl. Saban does a good job recruiting in Louisiana. He does a great job recruiting anywhere. Do you think the state of Texas likes seeing Jalen Hurts and Jalen Waddle go to Alabama? I don't think they did. He recruits everywhere well. He's the best of all time for a reason. Everybody's All-American is better than Rudy. What's up, Brian? I'm George O.C., man. BK came here to win a national championship. It's true, right? We could sit here and say, well, Brian Kelly fell in love with Louisiana. That's why he came to LSU. Well, it's not. It is not. He didn't get a chance to even visit Louisiana, really. He came here to win a national championship. Right? That's all there is to it. But he got $100 million guarantee. You don't think Notre Dame was going to at least get close and match that? There you go, Carvis. Good to see you. You don't think Notre Dame was going to? Yeah, Notre Dame was going to come close. Brian Kelly's got plenty of money too, and not the same pressure at Notre Dame as he's going to have at LSU. Came here to win a national championship. He's the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. He could have rode off into the sunset. He could have never won a national championship, and everyone still view him as one of the best coaches ever. Because he is, honestly. Objectively speaking, he is. But you got to win a national championship. And he's a big historian of the game, and he knows it. I know we get deep into like different breakdowns and stuff, and that's why you guys are here, like really deep breakdowns. But you can bring this up in any bar across America when it comes to a diehard college football fan or a novice college football fan. The simple truth, Brian Kelly's got to win a national championship. You got to win a title. It's unfair. It's very unfair. I bring this guy's name up all the time. Bill Snyder is the best college football coach, arguably ever, right? What he did to Kansas State was nuts. But no one's going to remember Bill Snyder's name. College football circles, people will remember Bill Snyder, but, you got to win a natty. You got to win a natty. And Britt, I would like to think this as well. If and unless one won at LSU, I think BK will do just fine. Agreed, but national championships require a lot of luck. Les Miles had a lot of it. 2019 team didn't need much luck in terms of actually winning games, but it's kind of miraculous how everything came together, right? Also, something else about, especially Les's success, there's no Texas A&M, and there was sure as heck no Alabama by then, especially the Alabama that we know them as now, right? So it is a little bit different, especially, how good the bottom half of the SEC has become. Won't last. I mean, Lane, Leach, Pittman. Obviously, Pittman's going to be at Arkansas forever, at least 3 to 5 more years minimum. And I don't know where Lane's going to go. I don't know where Leach is going to go. I could see both of them leaving for better jobs. I could see Leach retiring. I could see so many different things happening there. But yeah, it's crazy. The SEC and just college football in general is under so much change. And what's really interesting about it, and I think Carvis has brought this up before. I'm glad Carvis is back in here. For a while, college football mostly remained the same, right? As far as like the structure of the sport, like, obviously the BCS changed things, and then the playoff came in. The playoff to me, though, was kind of inevitable. And I don't think the playoff changed the structure of college football that much, right? Because, yes, it allowed 2 more teams in, but the threshold of getting into the playoff was still an elite threshold. You needed to be a 1-loss team, right? So, once again, the playoff was still just the elites. I think in these past 3 or 2 seasons, honestly, once the Rona hit after 2019 LSU, everything changed, right? That year, adding an extra eligibility changed things. Obviously, the transfer portal came, name, image, and likeness came, and now we have this playoff expansion, Texas and Oklahoma joining. These things are way bigger stories than anything that happened structurally to the sport in the past decade. Take the past decade's news and just take the last 2 years' news. And the last 2 years has provided more change to the sport than we've ever seen before, right? On a macro level and all the way down to a micro level. It's crazy. It's crazy. And one more thing to Brett Super Chat, and then we'll get to a few other ones. Pittsburgh beating West Virginia saved less than the Tigers. Man, it's wild to say this, but there were other LSU teams that were better than the 07 team, right? The 11 team was definitely better than the 07 team, but they didn't win it, right? Now, there were some players on the 11 team that were also on the 07 team, but, you know, the 11 team was far more dominant. 07 team was very interesting. They were down by 10 points or more, I believe, in 6 games. And I think they won all 6 of them. So think about that. Think about how miraculous it is. The thing about that 07 team is most national championship teams have at least 4 to 5 games of dominance. The 07 team looked like the greatest LSU team of all time in the first 2 games. They beat down Mississippi State, and then they bludgeoned Tyrod Taylor and Virginia Tech. And then the rest of the year, they did not dominate a single opponent. They were all comeback and or ugly wins. Now, who cares? You ended up getting the job done anyway. A national championship is just a national championship. But Les was very lucky to have a very experienced team. And that was one of the more experienced teams ever at LSU. A lot of seniors, a lot of guys that bought back in. That team was very clutch, very clutch. They were very underrated in a lot of different ways, but Les just got very lucky. I mean, it was crazy how that season even played out, and that's why they call it the craziest year in college football history. And this is what's 2011 team. Yeah, I know it still bothers me. Could it be like a new T-Bob and those guys? Yeah, it sucks for them, but man. True, but I mean, once again, there was still a lot of luck involved in a lot of the other games, right? So never lost in regulation. True, but let's talk about the Ohio State game, okay? Once again, another game where LSU was down by 10 points, right? So they started down by 10, okay? One of the many times that they did that. Not many national championship teams have that. Then in the Ohio State game, they were controlling a good portion of the game until one play changed the entire game. And, we talked about at the end of the live stream, the Derek Dillon fumble recovery versus Auburn is still like the most underrated play of the 2019 season. No one ever talks about it. We probably lose or at the very least go to overtime in that game if he doesn't make that play on the onside kick. But I'll go to the grave saying this. The most underrated play in LSU history that never gets talked about was when Chevis Jackson got burned by Terry Robisky, the Ohio State wide receiver, but he didn't give up on the play, and he was able at the last second to strip the football out of Robisky's hand for a touchdown, okay? It forced Ohio State to kick a long field goal, and that was a Ricky Jean-Francois block. Then we drove down the field, and Matt Flynn, touchdown to Brandon LaFell. That play was a 14-point swing in a national championship game. 14-point swing in the national championship game. That wasn't a direct 14-point swing. He didn't catch it and return it for a touchdown. But that is still one of the most incredible LSU football plays ever. But it happened in the second quarter, and that game ended up being a blowout. And the iconic play of that game ended up being the Ali Highsmith clothesline, which was a great play. But man, Chevis Jackson's play, that is crazy that he made that play. He didn't give up. He hustled, and that's who he was, right? I mean, him and Zenon, when you hear DBU, you will never hear anyone say Chevis Jackson and Jonathan Zenon. but those guys were clutch. I mean, Xenon had the pick six to get us to win us the SEC championship game. And Chevis made so many plays in the Alabama game earlier in the year. That was another game where we were down by 10 and we had to come back. There were so many little clutch performances where if you don't get them, you don't win the national championship. It's crazy when you go back and look at it. So yes, Brett, you're right. LSU ended up dominating that game, but the momentum switched on the Ricky Jean Francois block kick, and now it's because Chevis Jackson didn't give up on the play. I love gritty players like that, guys that just they just scrap and they claw and they never give up. I just love that. I really do. Who needs stronger sunscreen, lesser or BK? I probably go BK because, when you go from South Bend where it's cloudy and there's nothing fun to do, and you get to Baton Rouge, that it's crazy. Johnson Vincent 03, yeah, that's it. I mean, we've had him on the channel, as you know, Michael. It's definitely up there, right? Like, obviously, to end the season the way he did with all those 100-yard games as a true freshman, it's incredible. I mean, his runs versus Oklahoma were very difficult runs. They were not easy runs, and he was great. That's a good one. But then again, Buster, I have to say, Vincent got his just due, right? He got on his Sports Illustrated covers right here. So he got on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He got the MVP. So at least he got credit. At least, when you think of the history of LSU football, Justin Vincent at least comes to your mind, right? We never talk about Chevis Jackson. Never. And, it's a shame. I got a few of his cards over here. I was a big Chevis Jackson fan, and it's not his fault. He just happened, there's no way he could have known that Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, Mo Claiborne, and all those guys, and, Corey Webster preceded him as well. He just him and Xenon just kind of get lost in the fray because they didn't have any NFL success. And yeah, I think Chevis Jackson, is he still coaching at Kansas? I don't know, but yeah, Justin Vincent, man, clutch as they can be, the Brad Wing. I watched that play last night. Actually, someone tweeted it out. I don't know who did. All time. Actually, let's take a look at the poll. I haven't looked at the poll in a while. Let's see. The shoe throw was a wilder SEC moment than the Elijah Ole Miss. Okay. At first, I was going to say the Elijah Moore dog celebration. But the more I think about it, I really do think the shoe throw is, because the only reason that Elijah Moore did the dog thing is because DK Metcalf did it the year before. So that bit of context is kind of missing. So DK Metcalf had a long touchdown, and he did the dog urination thing. And all Elijah Moore was doing was paying tribute to DK Metcalf. Now, that was still chaotic to do in the late portion of the fourth quarter, but the shoe throw was all on Marco Wilson. And, it actually ended up, all four coaches involved in those plays, they all ended up fired within a year of the plays. It's crazy. That is the wildest LSU moment, right? The wildest. Shoot throw is up there, but yeah, the wildest moment is the Tennessee game. No doubt about it. The Tennessee game. I was on the field for that game. It's crazy. It's crazy. But it's up there. Tennessee game, no doubt. No doubt. I agree, Pegasus, and man, it's probably the best the conference has ever been in quarterback, to be honest. Yeah, you're missing a few here. I know you only have a certain amount of characters, but KJ's a really good quarterback at Arkansas. It really is. Alabama's backup's really good too. So yeah, really good year for QBs. Hope you're right, Buster. Hope you're right. I think I had something. Why does my ear sound like that? I don't know what it is. They made their way. They made it. So technically, they are subscribers. They made it. Mm. Are you? Oh, you went to that game, Robert? That's cool. Let me see. That's so interesting. That's so interesting to me. Order the bot season tickets 07. There you go. All right, guys and gals. I'll keep going for another 5 minutes. If you super chat, we'll keep this party moving all night long. Once again, big thanks to our new t-shirt club members, Buster, Michael B, and Britt. That's good stuff. That makes me very happy. And Minnesota Steve. All right, Tony. All right, Tony. We'll see you on Saturday. Well, there you go. It made me feel a lot better at the end. A lot of new PHL t-shirt club members. That obviously makes me feel really great inside. So, gonna get a 4X. I got you, Jacob. So, here's the good news. We are getting closer on finding a venue for New Orleans. I would love to hang out with all you guys for the Florida State game. So we are getting closer. And thanks for all the patience with the t-shirts. Once again, shipping. As you guys know, everything's just crazy right now. Trust me, I've been waiting. Doug, thank you for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, look, I appreciate all the patience, especially you, Jacob. You've been so patient with me. Really do appreciate you. Once again, apologies about Jay Hill. He was supposed to come on tonight, and it just didn't happen. Things happen perfectly fine, and we will get him on again soon. Okay. It is going to be on Sunday, Jared. It's going to be on Sunday, probably before the game. There you go, Doug. Yeah, I think I super chat for some other channels. I think you have to move it over to the right or something like that. More than likely, yes, Robert. If we can get something finalized, I would like, even if I don't get like a place finalized, I would like to, at least see everyone there. Shout out to Mr. Wiggins. Shout out to you, Doug. But yes, more than likely, Robert. I'd like to. Personally, I would. So yeah. Do not forget, okay? Hit the subscribe button. Think about somebody. Just think about them. That is a diehard LSU football fan that you want to be a part of PHL Nation. Okay. And we would love to have them be a part of PHL Nation. Okay. We'll talk to you soon. Power Hour LSU. And tonight, Shrimp Scampi. Let's go. Let's go.